So what do you think about the overall finals being that it was two small market teams and they say the ratings weren't that high?
Yeah.
What do you think about the finals in general?
So I think when you have two small markets, obviously it's not going to make the NBA as much money as say a series with Boston and LA, or
Or New York?
Miami and Golden State, or two large market teams. It's the NBA that's not as attractive um, for the NBA as far as making money. But I do think when you have a series with two small market teams, the basketball has to be good. And I think this series showed, like, this series was a great basketball series, just purely in terms of hoops. This is the first Game 7 in an NBA Finals, I think, since 2016. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's the first time the Finals have gone to Game 7 in 9 years. So it was great basketball, a lot of back and forth. Obviously, Pacers winning Game 1. Hallie hits the game winner. The OKC Thunder come back in Indiana when it looked like the Pacers were about to go up 3-1. They come back from down, I think, 20. So it was a great series as far as basketball. Very competitive series, a lot of back and forth. There was no blowout, and I just saw a stat. This is the seventh straight year, first time in NBA history that we've had a different champion for 7 straight years. So if you welcome to NJH Sports, remember to like, subscribe, and share. Let's get into it. All right, OKC wins Game 7. They win their first championship as a team in Oklahoma City, second championship as an organization. Seattle won a championship. I don't remember what year, but they won. This is their second championship as a organization. SGA wins his first Finals MVP, along with winning the regular season MVP, the Western Conference Finals MVP, um, and obviously his first championship. He had a great series stats wise. Um, Game 7 statistically he wasn't at his best as far as shot making. He was 8 of 27 from the field. I think 2 of 12 from three, but he did finish with 29 points and 12 assists, I believe. As usual, he's effective getting to the free throw line. That's a strength in his game. So yeah, that's the Pacers. Obviously they had to deal with Halliburton going down. That was a tough blow for them. They fought well. They played well. They kept the game close. Even at the end, they kind of went on a run and made it a game. Kind of went between 10, 15 points. But at the end, the Pacers, the Thunder, I'm sorry, were just too much for them. Um, Great series from them. Great playoffs from them. They're a deep team. They're a young team. They can build similar to OKC. Both teams are really similar in that respect. They're both really deep teams and both really young, and they can build from this one season going on to the next season. Um, I expect both teams will be good, for years to come. Um, so it was a great series, great playoffs. OKC wins their first championship. Now, in more exciting news, if you're a Houston fan, Kevin Durant gets traded to the Houston Rockets from the Phoenix Suns for Jalen Green. I can't remember who else,
Dylan
and
Brooks.
Dylan Brooks. There you go. Wow, Dylan Brooks. I didn't realize Dylan Brooks got traded. Dylan Brooks and a few first round picks. So that's quite the haul for Phoenix. Personally, for me, Houston. I mean, obviously they're in win now mode, but I don't know. Giving up Jalen Green, for me, it would have been better if it's Jalen Green plus Kevin Durant, plus Amen Thompson, uh, plus Tari Eason. Now you kind of put the scoring on Kevin Durant's shoulders, and obviously, he's arguably the greatest scorer of all time. So that's not something he can't handle. But I don't know if it'll be enough to get them over the hump because obviously they won a championship. I'm just not sure if they'll have enough, quite frankly, because who's their number two scoring option? Oh, I'm sorry, Shangoon. They have Shangoon, and he's a great player. He's a great player. Don't get me wrong, but I think having Jalen Green, KD, and Shangoon would have been better, and giving up somebody else. Who knows? Maybe Phoenix didn't give him that option. Maybe more than likely Phoenix demanded Jalen Green, but I'm not sure if that quite moves the needle for them, like they would want it to. But again, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Blockbuster trade though, huge trade. Obviously, KD has wanted out of Phoenix for a while. As a Golden State fan, I wanted him to get traded back to Golden State, but that didn't happen. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that situation. Like I said, me personally, I don't think it gets him over the hump, but it'll be fun. So
Yeah, I mean, they like you said, it's a win now, especially the way they lost in the playoffs this year
yeah,
to Golden State.
yeah,
And then they locked in the coach for a long term, I think a 6-year contract. So
yeah,
obviously they're trying to get over the hump, which has been Houston's problem since the days of
yeah.
uh, you know
Golden State when they're playing Golden State.
exactly.
Yeah, that's all. Almost 10 plus years now. They haven't gotten to. They've been trying to get to a finals and they had some good rosters when they had James Harden and Dwight Howard early on, and then they got Chris Paul. So they had some great teams and they had a lot of regular season success. But it's obviously during that time they were going against the Warriors and there wasn't much they could do with the Warriors at that time. So we'll see. I mean, KD he's still playing at a high level, but he's not getting any younger. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that dynamic goes, especially with a team that's that young. He'll be the elder statesman, um, more than likely the leader of that team. So we'll see how that dynamic kind of works with the rest of the team. But it's a great roster. They'll definitely compete in the Western Conference to be the top team for the number one seed. They were number two seed last year. So if you're a Houston fan, you're like, man, we got KD number two seed last year. I'm thinking we're going to be the number one seed if I was a Houston fan. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Now, in some other sports news, LSU wins the college baseball World Series. This is their second championship in 3 years,
Right.
beating my Florida Gators in 2023. Um, I think they have 4 championships since 2000. So pretty dominant college baseball program, and they beat Coastal Carolina 2-0 in this series, best of three series. They won the first two, and so it was over from there. So
In Coastal Carolina's, the coaches complained because they got ejected the first inning.
yeah,
Yesterday's game, which is kind of crazy.
oh my,
To get ejected the first inning.
yeah,
I think it's the head coach and the first base coach, and now they're complaining that it was unwarranted, and so I don't know if they're gonna put a formal complaint, but
yeah, yeah.
they're complaining about that. So it's you
No,
know
it's kind of tough. You know what I'm saying? When you're going against LSU, I'm gonna leave my opinions to myself. But across all sports, LSU kind of always seems to have some things going on. I'm gonna just leave it at that. Um,
So what do you think about the overall finals being that it was two small market teams and they say the ratings weren't that high?
yeah.
What do you think about the finals in general?
So I think when you have two small markets, obviously it's not going to make the NBA as much money as say a series with Boston and LA or
Or New York,
Miami and Golden State
right?
or two large market teams. It's in the NBA that's not as attractive for the NBA as far as making money. But I do think when you have a series with two small market teams, the basketball has to be good. And I think this series showed that. Like this series was a great basketball series, just purely in terms of hoops. This is the first Game 7 in a NBA Finals, I think, since 2016. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's the first time the Finals have gone to Game 7 in 9 years. So it was great basketball, a lot of back and forth. Obviously, Pacers winning Game 1. Hallie hits the game winner. Um, the OKC Thunder come back in Indiana when it looked like the Pacers were about to go up 3-1. They come back from down, I think, 20. So it was a great series as far as basketball. Very competitive series, a lot of back and forth. There was no blowout. And I just saw a stat. This is the seventh straight year, first time in NBA history that we've had a different champion for 7 straight years. So if you look at the NBA today, there's a lot of parity, and there's not really one dynasty like when the Warriors or even if you don't want to call Miami a dynasty, they won 2 championships out of 4. There's a lot of parity right now, so it's going to be hard for one big market team to assert themselves as a dynasty. Boston had a chance. Maybe they would have went back to back this year if Jason Tatum doesn't go down. Who knows? Um, but New York didn't make the finals. Maybe they make it next year. But there's a lot of parity in the league right now. A lot of really good teams, and we've kind of left the era of the super team. Uh, each team is individually good, and there's one superstar, but then the rest of the team is really deep. Have a bunch of role players, and maybe a number 2 guy that's an all-star kind of 20-point per game average guy, but not really any true super teams right now. And it's kind of reverted back to how it was in the early to mid 2000s, when they kind of got out of the Chicago Bulls era, and then mid 2010s we went to the Miami Heat and the Golden State Warriors, and that was kind of the era of the super team and everybody trying to make super teams. But now we've left that again. But to answer your question, I think the series was a great basketball series, but the NBA would probably want a larger market. But if you're a basketball fan, you enjoyed it because it was really good basketball. 7-game series in the finals. Obviously, last night I wish Halliburton didn't get hurt. I would have loved to see him play that game and see what would have happened if he was able to play the whole game. So that was a little bit unfortunate for the Pacers. But I think it was a great series. So
yeah, I mean, I think you're right. It was definitely for the basketball purists.
Yeah,
it was there, but I think most of the money is made by the outsiders that come in and look at whether it be the Super Bowl, the World Series, or whatever. Who don't watch it the entire season. They come in during the finals or the championship, and that's what these leagues make their money.
Right.
And of course, not only did you have 2 small markets, but then you have no real superstar. You have emerging stars, but you don't have a LeBron, you don't have a Jokic, you don't have Luka, you don't have Steph.
Yeah.
What I'm saying? You don't have Ant. So it's really, like you said, if you like basketball and you just like hoop, then this was the series for you.
Yeah.
But we'll see how everything moves. The draft is in Wednesday.
Tomorrow, right? Or tomorrow is Wednesday?
It's Wednesday, the 25th.
Okay.
So we're gonna see who makes certain moves.
Yeah.
I'm hoping, like you said, Golden State do something. They only have a second round pick, so, so we're gonna be hoping for Steph and some trades.
I know, right? I mean, I feel like Golden State hasn't had a legitimate pick. I think probably since they drafted Kuminga and Moses Moody a few years ago. But we'll see. It should be a fun offseason. Now we're getting closer to my favorite time of the year, and that's football season.
Definitely.
They've started mandatory OTAs, a lot of team activities. So I'm ready. I'm excited. I wish football season started tomorrow. Really excited for college football season as a Gator fan. I think we're going to be great this year. I think my team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we're going to be really good. But in some other news, Aaron Rodgers went to Pittsburgh. That's going to be interesting. I don't know how I feel about that yet. For me, if I'm going to get Aaron Rodgers, I'm not getting rid of George Pickens. I'm going to give him DK Metcalf and George Pickens. And they didn't really address their offensive line. And I think they lost Najee Harris. I don't think
Najee Harris is gone.
Yeah, he's not there. Yeah,
he went to Texas.
He went to the he went to the Texans. So we'll fact check that later. But I just don't know how great of a situation that is. Pittsburgh's gonna have a great defense. Mike Tomlin, obviously Hall of Fame coach. They're gonna win games. I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna be a Super Bowl contender. Right now, I don't see it. Maybe they'll surprise me. Maybe he'll come back hot. Aaron Rodgers will come out hot and look like Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. But right now, I really don't see it. But what do you think? What do you think about it?
No, I can't. I mean, first of all, this is Aaron Rodgers 2 years after he's left Green Bay.
Yeah.
So if anything was going to happen with him, was going to be that year he left initially.
Yeah.
Now he's 2 years older. He really didn't do anything at the Jets.
Yeah.
And obviously he wanted to emulate the whole Tom Brady going to the BUCS,
Yeah.
winning a championship and putting people around him. I don't think a couple of things. I don't just one. He's only had one championship, and that was how many?
2010, I believe.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So that's one thing. So I'm not even sure why people still think he's a championship quarterback. I'm just saying, what I'm saying?
Right.
That's one thing. And then, he's not, the one thing what Tom Brady was able to do was when he moved to Tampa, he was able to get on the phone and put the pieces around him,
right.
With the guys that he, knew he could play with and,
to help him win.
Yeah. And, you know what I'm saying? So, and Aaron Rodgers hasn't been able to do that. He hasn't done that at all.
No.
So if you're just waiting for Aaron Rodgers to become Superman, I don't think that's going to happen.
That's a good point. That's a good point because he doesn't have the same draw that Tom Brady did coming from New England. When the Bucs signed Tom Brady, we got Leonard Fournette. We ended up getting Antonio Brown. I think I'm missing a few guys.
Yeah, Gronk.
Gronk. Thank you. Gronk,
yeah.
That's probably the main one.
Yeah.
Gronk. And on top of a roster that was already pretty decent, pretty talented.
So all you needed was the leadership of Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And people that's going to be bought in. And then you had Bruce Arians, who, again, is a Hall of Fame coach. So he really kind of solidified that team, and they did what
already there. What was already there?
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
He did what he did. But I think Pittsburgh is still needs some pieces.
Yeah,
and they still need to build. And
on the positive side, I mean, it's if you want to look, it's kind of similar to what you just said. We mixed Bruce Arians with Tom Brady, and that led to the Bucs having Super Bowl. So maybe mixing Aaron Rodgers, obviously a Hall of Fame quarterback, with Mike Tomlin, maybe something good can come out of that just at a surface level. But when you kind of get into the details of it and the I don't see it right now. I could be wrong. And they have a great season. Pittsburgh's going to have a great defense. That's one thing you do know. Their defense is talented. They're going to be good. They're going to get stops. Is the O-line good enough? Is the receiving good enough? DK Metcalf is a beast. But, if they double DK Metcalf, who's number 2? So it's going to be interesting. We're going to see. But yeah, I think it's going to be a fun off season. We're getting closer to football season. Anything else you want to add?
No, I just think I think the Bucs going to the Super Bowl. I think
Lord willing,
Baker Mayfield and we're gonna see the biggest question is the defense.
Yeah.
See what the linebacker core looks like. See who's going to win the cornerback, the defensive backfield. How that's going to mesh out.
Right.
I'm thinking that if all things fair, that at least one of those rookies are going to get in the starting lineup in the defensive backfield. I don't know if it's going to be Morrison or it's going to be forget the other kid's name, but from Kansas State. But
Parrish.
And they really like Parrish.
Yeah.
But I think the defensive line is going to be solid. I mean, them boys, they're going to be nice. Which going to help out the linebackers, which is going to help out everybody else.
Yeah.
They get the pressure. It's just going to be like the 2002 Bucs, where the defensive line was all world.
Yeah.
And so you could put mid-range guys on the corners, and of course the linebacker was all world too, and you got a great defense because it starts in the trenches.
Absolutely. So
it's going to be good. So, but then just to see how the OC, how Grizz is going to call the plays, and how they're kind of just going to build on what they did last year.
Yeah,
and last year that was nice.
And they have a lot of talent. They did a good job adding talent, especially in the receiver room.
My God,
adding Ibuka and then Tez Johnson from Oregon. So there's a lot of speed, a lot of young talent behind Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Baker Mayfield obviously coming off of a stellar season, 40-plus touchdowns, 4,500 yards. He's going to be looking to put himself in the MVP race next year. Arguably, he was in it last year.
Yeah.
So I do think it's gonna be pretty interesting to see the Bucs. The main focus going into this offseason was fixing the defense. I believe the coaching staff thinks they've done that. We'll see if they did.
Right.
But it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining NJH Sports. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. We'll catch y'all next week.